There we go. All right. And last time we got to Isis walking around basically with a little seal ring in her hand made out of gold. And she said to the fairy guy, that I have come to you is to tell you, and then I think we stopped there. And hieratic wise, I think we got as far as the chetem, I think. Sounds right?
Yeah, it sounds, yeah, seems right.
Okay. I would say maybe we finish the hieratic to the end of that line, and then, hey, Peter, there he is. Happy Saturday. Let's maybe have a quick look if there's anything else that's surprising or that's new. We had the chetem with the big T and the little shape that we looked up in Tsukuba, the database. The word sheri, that's normal, with the evil bird or bad bird at the end. For the word small, we have of gold, and the gold is written, I mean, the way you sort of would expect, the top shape and then like a little plural stroke like squirrel, squiggle, not squirrel. S, normal, U, normal, S, new, normal, her, normal. I think this is all familiar by now. Maybe the way the walk, the to bring is written is interesting. I'm not sure we had that yet. So here's our second tense with ire, and then this e basically. Maybe we should look that one up, what that typically looks like. So if that works. Yes. Okay. So oldest shapes. Reed leaf with something projecting from the bottom, like an extra leg, becomes more like a stick as you go on, and it stays like that later. So I would say by the time of the text that we're looking at, it's not necessarily the shape you would expect from hieroglyphs. It looks sort of like a bee with an extra stroke, but it's really, well, maybe it makes some sense if you go back to the earliest forms of how it's written. So what I can say is what we're looking at is entirely regular, right? It looks pretty much like what we have in the table. So that makes some sense.
It looks like A1 in cursive hieroglyphs a little bit without the arms.
A1 in cursive hieroglyphs. This one, you mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, A1. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Wait, how do you do this? You mean the funny shape that looks, I've never tried to write cursive hieroglyphs, but you mean this one, right? For the A1 man?
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Like in what would that be? Coffin texts or funerary papyri? I think the latter, actually. Yep. Yeah, you're right. Looks just like that. Anything else to point out here? Little a, double reed leaf, Y on top of walking legs, also known as the Stargate sign. A neck, and then this gets fancy. So this is an R, and the cobra is completely reduced to a stroke. It just looks like an F, actually. So this one you really have to know either as a ligature or from context, I guess. This is Arjet or Ejo, or however they said it. Okay, but I think the rest is pretty straightforward. Maybe one more thing to call out is the B1 woman down here. Again, essentially an A1 man with a dot. Yeah. With that being said, who wants the next one? Georg, do you want to try one?
I can try one, yeah.
All right.
Let's see. Oh God, I'm gonna be bad at the pronunciation anyway. Said something like Jai Payu Her Yip. So that's the first bit. So that's ferry. I think like you ferry. Then R, and there's a double R. Well, I think it's probably just because it's in the end. So I think we have to neglect one. Now, so to the island in the middle. Should I go on?
Why not?
All right. So then it's Pawin Yir Yi Sher Pa Chab and Bedded and Pa Edget. And then the little one, what was that? Siriu. So because, and then we have this ear again, which you told us last time. No, this is this. I think this is again this emphasis thing. So I go, and then the important bit is probably now the second one, the share, which is underneath or carrying. I also found. So probably then carrying pa chab, the bowl of emmer, which apparently is some old type of wheat. And then where did it go? Yeah, N. So for pa edget, for the young, for the youth, or the little youth, also the young boy, something like that.
Awesome. Strong start. So yeah, no, it makes all perfect sense in my head.
Yeah, it seems quite straightforward. So now lots of things like are similar to what we did before. So
cool. What do you make out of the jike at the very start at the beginning?
The jike, I don't know. I was just reading it as like you ferry, but so as kind of like a statement, but like as an implied imperative, like you go over the island, and then including me. She doesn't really say me, but it's just included. That's what I was thinking. Probably might just be something else.
No, I think you're close. Let's say it's a perspective. May you ferry.
May you ferry.
Yeah. Because I mean, by late Egyptian, essentially, if you want to say you ferry, the subject pronoun would be before the infinitive. So it would be something like I guess took her jai or something. You are ferrying me, and then the her gets dropped. If the subject pronoun comes after, like in this case, it can be one of two things. It can be prospective, or some people like to call it subjunctive, or it could be a past tense. One of those two. And in this case, like you said, it's some kind of imperative construction, basically, or imperative equivalent. May you ferry me over? Where is the me? That's a really good question.
So yeah, I was just thinking like you basically you ferry over, and the me is just implied. No, like you go over to the island. I give you a ring, and you go over to the island. You bring the boat over to the island. No, and then the me is just implied. Can I do that? Can we do that?
I think that's. I mean, no expert either, but let's see what Ramses does.
I think a lot of times the first person suffix pronoun can be left out, but I don't know if you can use a suffix pronoun as an object.
That's the problem here, right? I mean, I could think of two things. It could be the we is implied. It could be
Really, not to call you Ramses. It's on Ramses page 34 that you're looking for the DIFR.
okay.
You're currently on page 36.
All right, so let's go there. Thank you. So let's see what they think. Okay. They think so subjunctive or subjunctive, subjunctive, jaik, and then they basically assume there's a missing we. And a double R, of which one R, like you said, is just not needed. I think that makes more sense.
So
Mm-hmm.
what pronoun are they assuming there? What is the we?
We would be
Which
the
category of pronoun?
dependent pronoun. The good old
It
dependent
also can sometimes be omitted according to that one grammar.
Oh, it can be? Okay, then.
It says so. What did I see that? I don't know if we can look at things. What was my grammar that I used?
It's like,
But I say, yeah, the dependent pronoun can sometimes also just not be written. Yeah, language of Ramses, that's the one. Dependent pronouns.
So let's have a look. I mean, Middle Egyptian would have to be the dependent pronoun, which like wait. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think it is. Isn't it?
That was that new one. Do they have the?
It's independent pronoun.
Here it is. Dependent. There you go.
Dependent. Yeah, and then they say no. The last one, like or o stroke, which should be not written. And I suppose that's what it means.
Right. Because it's kind of a vowel thing, right?
Yes.
So we are. Maybe it's just not written. I wonder if you could have used this puppy instead. Later you have this new direct object pronoun. Could it be? Could it be used here? In such a construction, like could you put tui there or t, however you want to pronounce that, tui, t? I'm actually not too sure. Let's see.
But you know, the confusing thing about this book is they introduce another pronoun category in another chapter, but I can't remember which chapter it's in.
Oh, okay. Didn't get to that yet. Just going through it. I mean,
Yeah, the thing that I love about this book is it's straightforward. The thing that I hate about this book is that there's no exercises to motivate me to keep going through this book.
It's a great reference, though. There you go. Pronouns like Egyptian.
Which book is the language of Ramses you call?
Go again, I'm sorry.
Just as which book the language of Ramses
Yes.
you mean? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, the lack of exercise there.
Yeah.
They might. I think they introduced the prolicit pronouns of the first present in another chapter.
Okay, probably with the first present then. This one? There you go.
Yep, there it is.
Right.
And it's not that one either. What?
Yeah, this one's the new one that you would use, for example, for the first present, right? Like tui her jai. I am ferrying, or I
Yeah.
ferry. And I was wondering for a moment, could this also still function as a object pronoun after like a subjunctive? But you know what? Let's park this. I don't want to hold everybody up with that. In any case, something's missing here. It could just be we missing. And maybe we leave it at that. I mean, the only other thing I could imagine, could it be like, no, I don't think so. For verbs of perception, like to see somebody, for example, in Coptic, you use are with the subject pronoun. And so I was thinking for a moment, could it be that? Could it be what in Coptic would become eroi, but to me? But I think it's way more likely that this is just, normally you wouldn't do that with verbs of motion. That doesn't make sense. That's more like for to see, to hear. So I think it's just that he wrote the R double and the we is missing. My guess.
In Middle Egyptian, the pronoun would be a dependent pronoun,
Yes.
which matches with late Egyptian. So it's got to just be the
It would have to be the
dependent pronoun, right? Or that's what Ramses thinks.
Yes, I'd agree. Okie doke. Then par when you said is because, and I looked it up in Groll, and they say it's just a connector, basically, fixed expression, because. A second tense, like you said. And then what was this one? Jebu, right? Let's look that one up.
Chabu. I found it as chub, so pronounced ch-ab, so ch the alphabet and then b as bowl.
Oh, interesting. Is that Middle Egyptian with the R in there?
I don't know, it might be. I don't know how they divide this spelling always in
I mean,
chabu, yeah.
Yep. I mean, he has that Jabu too in parentheses. So a beaker. Okay. All right. Or a bowl. Of emmer. All right.
This next word, this is interesting because we now have three different signs for this. What's the stalk of wheat here? Gardner has as the nedge, which would be flour, and Ramses has something different, I think. Can we see what Ramses has?
Let's take a look. Okay. Got it.
So we've got three different interpretations of that hieratic sign.
That's interesting. Really? Let's take a quick look. What's the sign? So the sign is, oh, I see what you're saying. We have a B here simply. Huh?
Well, that corresponds to what in here looks like that stalk of wheat. Go farther. See the new, yeah, right there.
Yeah, like an an almost, doesn't it?
Like an ant? Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they write the ant like that also, don't they?
Yeah.
Like a dot on top and then the cross.
So I spent some time looking up that word and I found, so what Gardner has would be nedge, which I think I found in Lesko to mean flour. I think it's written a little differently because the T, I mean, this clearly has a T-Y. And then Ramses has Betty, which also means flour. They're all different words for flour that are sort of similar, but written with different signs. And then this one, emmer, wheat, is again a different sign. So I don't know if it's worth spending the time to
Well, that's kind of cool though.
each of those and figure out which is closest to this actual hieratic sign and see who's
Yeah,
right.
that's fascinating. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. Okay. So what's the first one? Should we start with this one here?
Yeah.
And this one, does anybody know the glyph number for this by any chance? If not, we can look it up real quick.
Okay. Oh, by the way, I am in the midst of creating a memorized course that is just Gardner sign list. So when I finish that, I will post it.
Oh, nice.
Post a link to it.
Woohoo!
What is the memorized course focusing on?
The Gardner list. It's just the sign and the Gardner number. So that would be
Oh.
the whole course.
Okay.
This is awesome.
There's,
Good
you know
job.
what I hate about Memrise though? The signs are so small. Unless you input them as images, they're really, really small, and there's no way you can make the font bigger. So I warn you in advance, if you're doing it on a phone, it's gonna be really hard to
Oh,
see.
like- I get it. Nah, where are you? This one. M34. Mm. Hang on, I'll have to make you all a bit smaller. Here we go. M34. That doesn't look too much like what we're looking at, does it?
No. Probably the closest would be, yeah, the furthest one on line 2.
Mm. Well, that is fun. Let's have some fun with this. Mm. So that's the word we're looking for, right? So if you want a comp from that time, it should probably be this kind of stuff here. So let's go with this. I would say that does not really look the same. What's the next choice? What it could be? What does Gardner
Try
have?
Nedge. Nedge.
Nedge, okay. Do you think it will come up like this? So we are here. Better.
What word would Nedge be
What
referring
version?
to? Would it?
Flower.
Okay.
Oh, flower.
Mhm.
So that's Gardner's.
Flour
interpretation.
as in
like
the
ground
food
wheat.
or? Okay.
Yeah, the bread flour.
I
not
think
the-
in look in I think I found it in Lesco. See if that's
I'm looking for it right now. Nedge, right?
yeah.
I wish this was electronically searchable like the others, but okay. Have to take what you can get. Almost there. Nedge, flour, bagel. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there. So the word, I mean, the whole, it doesn't have the, oh yeah, that's pretty close to the spelling too.
Right. I mean, there's a new.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's the U.
It's almost like a mashup of those two spellings because it's got the T and the rope coil.
True, true. Assuming that this is a, no, you're right. That is a separate letter here. There is a T on top. Okay. What's the third option? What did Gardner have?
Whatever Ramses had.
Whatever Ramses had. What did Ramses have? Bid it. Bid it. Bid it. Is that a thing? No. Bid it. What is that actually? Oof. Some kind of scepter, but which? Crown, dresser, staves, maybe? Stab. Oof. If you see it, let me know. Oops.
There.
Up?
Yeah. In JSesh, what bait it just gives M34.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You.
Or
Does
the
it
barley
use-
bucket.
Yeah.
Emerson memory?
Yeah, it's the one we looked at just previously. It's the leafy looking thing.
Oh, I thought M34 was the plant thing.
Yeah, it is. It is the plant thing.
But this looks very different.
Does Lesko have that word? It might be easier to see the sign.
Okay, I'll take that. So, bid it, right? Wait, that's weird. Do you see it? I don't.
Yeah, it's not an underlined D. It's just a standard D. So
Right.
I don't know.
Well, there's one more option. Could be a good old little Egyptian word. Let's take a look. I think it is actually. It looks somewhat familiar.
Oh, that's interesting. He uses the grass as well.
Okay, that's all, folks. Okay, all right.
What about flour? Just FLOUR.
Yep. Full word only. I mean, whole word only. Niche.
So
It's interesting. So it's either Bedet or Net. What you're saying, Gardiner is saying, Ramses says it's Bedet, but it's written with that scepter glyph.
yeah, I wish they put Gardner codes right there.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Yeah, I don't know what that thing is, to be honest.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I mean, sometimes you get lucky, right? But not really. Okay, it's still around in Coptic, which is nice. Bote and Boti, depending on which type of Coptic. Alternative forms. Huh. Interesting. Guys, I don't know. I mean, glyph-wise, it looks way more like this, right? I would say, than the other one. Although they have some similarities now when I think about it. Actually, just look at this, like dot on top, the vertical, like a slight diagonal stroke, dot on top, the T shape, and then like a smaller diagonal stroke at the bottom. But I don't know. This one says niche. Yeah. Huh.
Does Alan have like a sign shape area? Ralph was looking up something.
Oh, yeah, like tall, skinny signs.
Yeah,
He does.
I haven't used Alan, so I don't really know, but I'm feeling.
So- The JSash has that too. If you go to hieroglyphics, there is tall, narrow signs.
There you go. Oops.
Did you find it? I'm not-
It weren't so tiny. Can you guys see?
Yeah, yeah. It almost looks like the one right here.
Oh,
What do you think about that?
That's Nedge.
that's Nedge again.
What is that?
It says
What it looks like is the hedge, like mace with a line through it.
Yeah, yeah.
Values Chesef.
Oh, what is that? That's Hesse.
That's head. Isn't it? Yeah, that's head, like
Yeah.
in white and silver.
Right.
And then this puppy, like you just said, I mean, it's on edge, so Chesef. Chesef is more for things like strength, power, isn't it?
Right.
How do you make this smaller here? There you go. Oppose, opposition, punishment.
Driveway.
Yeah, and I wasn't really on point there either, but I don't think that's what it is.
I vote Nedge.
Nedge,
Yeah.
is Middle Egyptian?
You
Or-
can even see there's a little bump at the bottom that might be doing that extra
I like
stroke.
that, like a tiny little serif.
Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the
Ish.
text. Did we miss something?
There
It's
at the
not-
bottom of the there's a
I mean, there's like a little unmotivated
Oh,
stroke on the right.
oh, yeah.
oh
Yep.
Maybe that's what it is. I mean, that one sure is a challenging one. Well,
Great question. Very fun to look at all those things.
yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's just a broken, it just doesn't connect up, but that makes sense. Because it
so
can't
I'm
be anything
thinking that-
else, that little line. It's not part of the, what is it before? Just plural strokes and an N. That's not a part of that.
No, no, it isn't. It's could be a tiny t, which doesn't make any sense here. It could always be FF100. It's much, but no, I think you're right. I think that is a net. I mean, I'm still a bit on the fence because now that I look at them again, they sort of become similar. It looks more like this to me. So I would say Nedge. What does Gardner have? Gardner has Bedet.
Gardner has Nedge.
Gardner has Nedge. Ramses has Bedet. And what was the third one? What did we have? So
The third one is what's in our text, but I'm not sure who input that.
Right.
Can I ask a little bit about Hub really fast? So are both of those images on a line? So the papyrus image is definitely a single image, right? And then are the glyphs their own image individually, or are they a full line of image, if that makes sense?
Oh, wish we had Ralph. Who else knows how this thing is built? The first version was just it would have to be images because there's no other way to get the nice square shapes. The other day, Rasmus showed me a great trick. There are some fonts now that have grouping capability. Well, I shouldn't say grouping capability, but they have certain groups like NEG, for example, or JED already pre-built. So whenever you type them, it gives you a combo glyph basically that already looks like a nice little square. And if you and the other person that reads it have the same font, then you can actually get nice square hieroglyphs without pictures. That's really cool. Like two fonts out there for that. It's neat. I'm not sure if I can do that on the fly, but I can.
Oh, it's okay. We don't need to digress to that. I was just curious.
Right. I can share that later, and if you want in the chat. But it is kind of cool. Egyptian Hiero, I think it is one of the two. And oh wait, now you need an Egyptian keyboard, of course. Dang. So that's how it normally comes out, right? Like linear glyphs. And there you go. See that? That's so cool. And this is not an image, but it actually, what it does, it replaces, it has like a neck glyph, and then it just replaces the NK by the two. It's kind of neat.
If it is not a picture or PNG file,
it's not.
Then we can exploit the grouping.
You can export the what? I'm sorry.
Exploit the grouping, detach N and key between in Office program.
Yeah, kind of like in
Wow.
JSet, right? You can put them all together, or you can take them further apart.
Yeah, if not this grouping picture, then we can detach each other. Yeah, kind of.
That's awesome.
Let me share that later if you want to play with it. The fonts are available for free online. Looks safe. I mean, this is cool. The only downside is for things like glyph study. That would be great for the glyph study homework. The only downside is the other person needs to have the same font. Otherwise, all you'll see is, of course, boxes.
Yeah.
Where were we? So have we? I think we're leaning towards Nedge. Nedge was what? Nedge was Emma?
Flower.
Flower, yeah.
Flower. Okay.
Bedded is the Emma.
Oh, wait, hold on. Look right there under at the top of page 18, but look at the very last one. What's that sign?
That is the sign.
That's
the one that
cool.
they use for in Osiris's hometown, I think.
Oh, Abydos?
Yeah, it's a very, very common one. I can't remember.
I mean, let's see. Straining my eyes here. Abba, Sechem, Cherep.
Abydos. Yeah, it's used in Abydos, and it's used for stop and for mingle.
Oh, there you go. S42. Hello.
Let's see how that comes out in hieratic. I think what may be happening here is that they're just mixing a lot of signs because they all look similar.
Oh,
No. That's
Yeah.
different.
But that's probably the third character that we've been looking for, is this one.
mm-hmm.
This is tough. Long, tall sign with a dot.
It just gives me so much appreciation for the time and effort that people go into to, transcribe something in the first place. And then, yeah, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And I'm sure somebody can write at least what's it called, like the semester thesis on that. Not maybe not a whole master's, but a few pages on what we're trying to do. What do we make out of the little grain sign at the end? Should we take a quick look at that too before we move on?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because that's also kind of unexpected. So let's see, is that still plants? I think it is.
Agriculture, maybe?
Yeah.
Plants or agriculture? Let's see. I mean, the individual grains are plants. I think you may be right with agriculture. Let's take a look at that. Agriculture, where are you?
You.
There we go. That's it. U10. U10 or maybe U9. Okay. Doesn't like U9. U10. That looks almost like a K, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, it gets really complex.
Those bottom ones absolutely look like a K. Look at that.
Right. Absolutely. And then of course you can abbreviate it too, for the fun of it. Okay, so I'm expecting something with a K with an extra stroke, basically. Is that what we get? Well, arguably, huh? It has more going on. Well, maybe it's this thing, these three little dots on top. Dynasty trying to 18. That would be the closest comp. I mean, this is somewhat alike. It looks like a K, but it starts with another stroke, and then it has a diagonal. So that's sort of what we have. Okay, cool. Anything about the rest? Parbird. Again, highly compressed cobra. A little child, shady. I think the rest is yeah, nothing special. Okay, we have 12 minutes. Can we get a little bit more of the next line in?
Yeah.
All right. Who wants it?
Take it.
All right.
Okay. UF Emsa Nahai Eout. He I think this is like to be in charge of, to watch over. Nahai. I looked that up. Hold on.
In the
Oh,
hind?
some. Duh. Some. Nahai Eout is cattle. But I spent a lot of time on this because of the wordplay here. I think that they're doing with the word office, because this whole story has been about the office of Osiris. I think this is meant to be like a little joke, like a wink, wink joke.
Oh,
Do you think?
it
Because
could
if
be.
you look up the word cattle, it's
definitely is,
spelled
I think.
differently.
Yeah.
So
And
I
it's
think
almost-
they spelled
yeah.
it this way as a joke.
Oh, this is fantastic.
And the
Right.
cattle has usually also
I
this
spent
this
so much
tail,
time
doesn't
on
it?
that word. I was so confused.
Yeah, yeah.
So okay, we're saying?
I said the cattle doesn't also have the tail act usually, like
Exactly.
the cat tail or the animal tail. And then
Exactly.
here it's not sure what that really is, whether it is or isn't. Doesn't really look like one. The hieroglyphs aren't. No, they don't. So it's actually written as office, but here she means the cattle, and so it's really this. Yeah.
I mean, it's a fascinating thing. I did also notice when scanning through a text, oh, that's just like Office, but didn't think much about it. But you guys are right. That could actually be like she's saying one thing and you can interpret it another way. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, especially since she wants him to take the office. So if he's been in charge of the office, you know, then I think in charge of the cattle, I mean, wink, like I think it's a little bit of a,
That is
Eh?
very cool.
That's cool.
Does Gardner notice that, or did we notice something that he didn't notice?
Gardner has it written the same way we have it. So I
Okay.
think he's interpreting that sign. I mean, when we look at the hieratic, we'll double check. Okay, so he has been in charge of some cattle. Empa yu hariib 5 erpa hero on the island in the middle for 5 days.
Right.
Uf heker, and he is hungry.
Yep. Makes sense. Very cool.
So if I'm tracking the story that's being told, there's a mystery kid that somehow's gotten on the island for 5 days that's tending some cattle that is hungry. That Isis is going to go feed some flour to. How did the kid get on the anyway? Sorry, I shouldn't ask.
So earlier on the page, the Ennead said, okay, Horus and Seth, you guys go to the island in the middle and basically duke it out, and we're going to decide. Isn't that what happened?
Yeah,
Send them
I think
together?
so.
Yeah, but in her story, it's not Horus in her story, is it? So her story essentially, I mean, it is.
Oh, well, she's
but
lying. I think
at the
she's
same time,
lying to the
yeah,
ferryman.
she's lying. So
Yeah.
So how did the boy in her story got to the island? Well, it was 5 days
I mean,
ago. So
This
who knows?
ferryman can't be
Okay.
expected to know every person who's on
I will
this
suspend
island.
my disbelief. That's great. I mean, it is Isis, but she can do anything. So
She's just like Jedi mind tricking him.
Plus, he took all the cattle with him on the island, didn't he?
No, she's making. I mean, she's just making it up. She's saying there's a little boy on the island who's taking care of some business and
Taking care of some offices. I mean, cattle.
Right, cattle. And I mean, ajat is the word that they used in the very beginning. Wasn't that actually what Seth called Horus when he's saying like, hey, you little kid with a bad breath or something? A few
I
pages.
think they're both called
Bad
that.
boy.
They're
I
both
think
being
they both
called
call that
Ajat
actually. You're
before,
right. At
like
the
the
beginning
two
somewhere,
youths
right?
and so on. When the others talk about them, don't. isn't it?
The other gods, I think, call them both the youths.
You are right. There was somewhere at the beginning, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's a clear reference backwards to what was earlier. So she's talking about some little boy, but of course the reader or the listener knows, well, she's not talking about some little boy, she's talking about her little boy. This is kind of cool.
yeah, okay.
Who happens to be Horus and I don't know, a major god, but
And who doesn't want a bowl of flour when they're really hungry, you know? Just really tuck into that bowl of flour.
Well, if it's flour, it could also be porridge, and then it makes sense. No,
Good.
I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in Emma, I was reading like when you say, "No, here's that rice for you," and then of course it's like in a cooked state somehow, so you wouldn't give them just a pure thing. Or maybe she goes there and cooks it there. She might make a fire and cook it there.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Now I lost our line. Here we go. So that is pretty cool. Shall we take a quick look at the hieratic? I'll just take that as a yes.
Yes, please.
UF SAR. SAR we had last time. We looked at how that typically comes out. That's pretty much nothing. It's more like the form, the simple one where you just have like the light switch basically. That's sort of what this must be coming from, with the horizontal just being a little stroke. Na, the long N, and then basically the abbreviated form for the Aleph bird. And H, and what's interesting here to me is this is actually formed somewhat differently from what I've seen before. I mean, this looks like those two are clearly together. Interesting, just from a perspective. Tiny Aleph bird, big bad bird, ja, ut. So the ut part is clear. That's just a quail chick with a T ligature. This thing we had before, I think.
I think we've had a bunch of time. Every time they talk about the office of Osiris, they.
Correct.
Looks a little bit simpler. Like sometimes it goes through a little bit. The right stroke goes through a little bit. So I see it often like as if it shows this little curl thingy in it when it goes through, but he doesn't.
You're right. No, this
But
one
I
is
think that's
really
just a
good.
variation in writing, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The other one looked more like something like this, and then this was going through.
Not quite, I think. No, I think it's just the right stroke that went a little bit farther, so that it showed kind of a tail. That's how you remember it, anyway.
Now you're making me look it up.
I'm sorry.
It would be at the very beginning, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Here, there, page 1, line 2,
Yeah.
just past the middle. Yep.
Yeah.
I had it and now I lost it.
There is one there.
You see one?
Yeah.
Yeah, right at the top of the
there's-
page. Oh, well,
Yep,
now I lost it.
I have it.
There you go.
Me too.
Yeah, you got that.
I just had it, now it's gone. There's one, yeah.
You're
Oh,
correct.
that looks interesting, this one. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
This looks a bit different though, but yeah.
Is there another one somewhere?
Yeah, there was one. There was another one. I just saw one.
Yeah, line 2, go up a little. Yeah, about 3/4 of the way through that line.
Line 2, yeah.
Yeah, that was more the shape that I had in mind, but you
Yeah,
got
exactly.
it's not what I thought it was. No, it isn't. You're right.
So the right stroke has a bit of a tail to the left, doesn't it?
You're right.
Yeah. So I see it as 3 strokes. No.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're
Yeah.
right. Why doesn't this do what I want? So like this,
Right, yeah.
like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I think that's what it is. You're right. So it's like a long stroke. It's like a U, like a quail chick almost, and then just go down. Okay, I buy that.